Sweep it, sweep it. Get low, stay low, sweep it again. There you go, now back out. Good job.
Milwaukee firefighter Lawrence Jenkins was starting a few fires this day as he trained employees of Hydrite Chemical on the proper use of extinguishers.
If your extinguisher does run out of expellant, back out, and either someone behind you will put it out or you can come back and get another one. We don't want you to have that thought process that you're going out of the room to get another extinguisher, so we'd rather have someone else ready to back you up.
While the Hydrite workers had this hands-on experience in putting out a small flammable liquid fire, their training began in the classroom.
Hopefully you never will have to use one, but just like any other tool, it's probably good to have a working knowledge of how it works in case you have to use it. And that's the reason we're going to be here today. Not only that, but
knowing a little about fire can help us understand how fire extinguishers work. 3 things must be present: a source of oxygen to support burning, heat to reach ignition temperatures, and a fuel source, solids, liquids, or gases. Take away any one, and you have no fire.
Our job is to break up this chain chemical reaction, or to take one or more sides of the triangle away. How we do that is through extinguishment, be it water or a chemical substance. What are we going to do? Well, with water, we're cooling. With chemicals, we're either smothering or separating. That's what we're going to end up doing. Nothing more, nothing less.
Not all fuels are the same, and not all fire extinguishers are the same. Class A fuels are solid combustible materials such as wood, paper, cloth, and plastics. This picture on the extinguisher will tell you if the extinguisher is designed to fight this fire. Silver in color, water extinguishers should only be used for Class A fires.
What will happen is that you'll take an oil fire, or you'll take a kerosene fire, you'll take a gasoline fire, you'll apply a high-pressure water extinguisher to it and think you're putting it out until you stop your extinguishing process and find out that all you've done is spread everything around and made the fire bigger.
Gasoline, oil, and grease fires are designed as Class B fuels. This emblem means the extinguisher is appropriate for flammable liquid fires. Class C fires are electrical in nature. As long as the electric equipment is plugged in, it's a Class C fire. Carbon dioxide extinguishers, those with a large horn and no pressure gauge, are appropriate for Class B or C fires. But to eliminate confusion and guesswork when there is a fire, you can use a multi-purpose dry chemical extinguisher. Its emblems show it may be used on all 3 types of fire.
The one that I would recommend the most for any home or other facility is the multi-purpose ABC, due to the fact that it takes a lot of the guesswork away. It fights 3 different classifications of fires. Now you don't have to go and choose an extinguisher. You don't have to look for a size. You don't have to look for a shape. You grab that extinguisher, more than likely it'll put out a basic everyday fire for you.
To operate an extinguisher, remember the acronym PASS. Pull the pin to unlock the operating lever. Aim at the base of the fire, not the flames. Squeeze the operating lever to release the pressurized agent. Sweep the extinguisher hose from side to side. Always be sure the fire department inspects a fire site, even if you think you've extinguished the fire.
You may think you've extinguished a fire when in fact you may have just pushed it somewhere else where it lies dormant for a few hours and then reignites itself because it gets a significant amount of fuel or oxygen, and you can have problems in hidden places later on.
When an employer provides portable fire extinguishers in the workplace, they are also required by federal law to provide an educational program in their use. Hydrite Chemical says that's one reason the company does it.
Well, the easy answer is that it's an OSHA requirement, but the real answer is we want to maximize the safety of our employees, our surrounding neighbors, and we want to protect property. And the best way to do that is to have a sound fire prevention program. But you also want a good response program. And fire extinguisher use would be part of our response.
The workplace isn't the only place where Milwaukee firefighters will offer fire extinguisher training programs.
We'll accommodate just about any group that's interested in having this type of training. We feel strongly as the Milwaukee Fire Department that everyone be trained in some type of fire education, be it just the proper uses of smoke detectors, escape plans in the home, how to use fire extinguishers, just general fire safety. We like to teach it. If you ask us, we'll accommodate you in the best way that we can.
Firefighters say use common sense. Always position yourself with a means of escape at your back. Don't fight a fire if it's spreading rapidly, or your instincts tell you not to.
This is a very good initial response, especially on a fire emergency, if it's a small fire, because all fires do start small. They will expand if they're not attended to quickly. If you're uncomfortable with it, then that means it's too big. Get out, alert everyone else, get everyone else out, make sure you stay safely away from the building, away from the fire department.
The first phase of the reconstruction of North Lincoln Memorial Drive will create some traffic problems for park visitors and commuters. Phase 1 covers about a 1.2-mile section of the drive from Michigan Street to Lafayette Hill Road.
As you can see now, we're down to one lane during the Phase 1 construction stretch, and we really are encouraging commuters to use an alternative route.
Lincoln Memorial Drive serves as both a parkway and a commuter route, linking downtown to the east side and to the North Shore suburbs. County officials say a major reason for the work is replacement of deteriorated curb, gutters, and storm drain systems.
What they're doing is underground work, infrastructure on the drainage and piping system, as well as repaving. That infrastructure is something that people won't see until it rains, and then they won't be driving through the heavy puddles.
As many as 30,000 vehicles travel daily on Lincoln Memorial Drive. The reconstruction project, as seen in this artist's drawing, includes a median landscape with trees and flower plantings.
One is for aesthetics. We think that the median will really add a more park-like pastoral setting to Lincoln Memorial Drive. And we really do emphasize that this is a recreation space, more than a commuter corridor. We won't dispute the fact that people use it as a commuter corridor, but we want people to realize that this is for recreation purposes. With that said, the median also acts as kind of a safety measure. And with the median, that will be kind of a safety island as they're going from one lane of traffic and then over to the next. Also, with the median, we're narrowing the lane slightly. And that's in an effort to try and get drivers the idea that they don't have as much room to drive and, in effect, slow down traffic. Because, again, we want to try and get this to a parkway of 25 miles an hour during the summer months, 35 miles during the winter months, for the reason that we have so many pedestrians, joggers, bicyclists, inline skaters, you name it, that are down here, and we want traffic to slow to a safe level. There is no question that there are some trees that have to be taken out as part of the project, and some of those trees are relatively old and stately. We are doing some additional plantings. In fact, 19 trees will be taken out, but we're doing 200 plantings as part of the median project. So it is sad to say that some are being taken out, but we're adding quite a few more. And again, the whole idea is making it stay consistent with the pastoral setting of the lakefront.
Lafayette Hill Road is closed during reconstruction as the intersection is realigned. Plans call for installation of historic Milwaukee harp lights along both sides of the parkway. Construction should be completed by mid-November. Next year, work will focus on the stretch from Lafayette Hill Road to Kenwood Boulevard. It's all designed to maintain and support existing park use.
What we will have is a beautiful parkway along a beautiful stretch of road in southeast Wisconsin.
The illustration on this poster depicts the Frederick Bar Building at 2nd and National, dating to 1887. Today, most of the buildings in the area date from that era. And like this 1859 building, many tell us who owned them and when they were built. Housing types and styles common in other neighborhoods in the city's early years are also present here, but perhaps with more variety. George Walker settled here in 1835, building his cabin on a narrow peninsula of land near the present corner of Barclay and Seaboth Streets. The land just south of the Menominee and Milwaukee River Junction soon became a flourishing neighborhood. Reed Street was renamed. As 2nd Street, it became an important industrial and business district. Because of the need for workers, a group of businessmen located Boys Technical and Trade School, now Milwaukee Tech, in Walker's Point in 1906. 3rd Street, formerly Hanover, became a residential area, as factory owners, businessmen, and their immigrant workers settled near the industries. The 400 block of West National has been home for 77 years to Memo Topitsis, who wears the unofficial title of the mayor of Walker's Point.
Oh, that began a good number of years ago, primarily because of my involvement in the community with different organizations, helping people out who needed assistance or guiding them to certain organizations where they could find the help that they needed.
Topitsis is still involved in the community, still lives in the building he grew up in, a family-owned store which he operated until 1987. The freeway split Walker's Point in half in the 1960s. In 1978, the blocks east of I-43 were listed on the National Register of Historic Places. That brought about special requirements for its historic buildings.
Those that need renovation can be renovated any way you want, interior-wise, but the exterior, the facade of the building, we'd like to have that remain as it was built in that time. And that has caught on with many people, so we have new life coming into the area here, and Walker's Point is beginning to be up there as any other renovated area in the city, and we feel that we've maintained the historical background at the same time, and it makes it much richer for that reason.
Topitsis is on the board of the Walker's Point Development Corporation, a major player in neighborhood renovation for 20 years.
One of the cornerstones of our organization, we are a private nonprofit 501c3, is to maintain and work very closely in maintaining the historic fabric of our neighborhood. And we do that through rehabilitation. We have, through various projects, what originally started with us was residential rehabilitation. From there we went to commercial. As a matter of fact, our building and several of the buildings on the street represent our work in maintaining the historic nature of our neighborhood. In our residential rehabs, one of the things that we do is have homes that are available for sale for home ownership, and we've established a first-time homebuyer counseling program that helps first-time homebuyers understand what it means to own a home, applying for a mortgage, and being a good neighbor. We've also have an economic development program, and that is working with small businesses in the area or small businesses who want to move into the area.
Frank Gonzalez is also on the board of the Development Corporation. He's lived in the Walker's Point neighborhood for all of his 67 years, half of that time in the 100-year-old home he owns on South 3rd Street.
And I thought we could really do something with the neighborhood, which we have. We've got a long way to go, but it's been a big improvement. A lot of young people. I think that's what made the difference in the area too. People were willing, younger people, coming into the area. They wanted to spend their money, you know, fixing up an old building, and that made the difference. They had the guts, okay, the courage to say, hey, we can make a difference. Why I like the neighborhood? First of all, I like the house, okay? It's an old house, and I always wanted an old house. Always wanted to clean the brick, too. It took me 15 years, but I got the brick clean. I like the neighborhood. I know the neighbors. I can walk down the street, the little kids talk to me and say, Mr. Gonzalez. To me, it's real important, you know, and the rapport we have with each other.
This early 20th century view looks east on National Avenue from 6th Street. The scene has changed little over the years, and the street, typical of the shopping districts which sprang up to serve city neighborhoods, remains an important area. Allen Bradley is among the many Milwaukee manufacturing firms which originated in this neighborhood. Its four-sided clock tower is one of the city's most prominent landmarks, twice the size of London's Big Ben. Around the turn of the century, Walker's Point was the most ethnically diverse section of the city. It is now the center of the largest Hispanic community in the state, but remains a haven for other cultures as well.
It's been diverse from perhaps from the very first days. It has proven, to me at least, that people can live together regardless of their different backgrounds, and they got along with no problem, and I feel that exists today yet.
With the blend of the old and the new, the mix of cultures, one of our oldest neighborhoods is also one of our most distinctive. Much remains to be done, but the goal is not just to preserve buildings, but a community.
I will put in a cautious caveat, and that cautious caveat is that this redevelopment that's going on in the area and this new surge, or if you want to call it a renaissance, needs to be done carefully, because one of the things that we do not want to do is to displace the people, the homeowners that have worked through the transitions of the neighborhood, because then where's the reward?
And there was a time when you'd mention Walker's Point, you know, and people were down on the area, you know, oh, you live there? And now it's different. They say, oh, you live there. You know, it's a different tone of voice when they say that. I told my wife once, I said, if it ever got to where it was really got tough, I would get out. Kind of the kids, you know, when they were growing up. But it made the change, and I'm proud to live down here. I live in Walker's Point.
Right. The old Waukesha County Courthouse is home to the Southeastern Wisconsin Regional Planning Commission. It was established in 1960 by the state legislature.
The emphasis to form a commission came from Milwaukee County, from the county board, I would say, and business leaders in the county. After World War II, there was a tremendous amount of growth, and a lot of that growth started to take place beyond the Milwaukee County line. And the city fathers, county officers had the wisdom to realize that there needed to be some sort of a cooperative effort in the future, not just Milwaukee County, but the surrounding counties.
The commission is often called by the acronym SewerPAC. It acts as the official area-wide planning agency for 7 counties in the southeastern region of the state. Milwaukee is one of more than 150 cities, counties, towns, and villages within the Planning Commission boundaries. It's an area with 1.9 million people, about 36% of the total state population.
You add it up and you have 154 units of government. One could say that there would be a more efficient way to run government, but historically, this is the way it is, and it's the kind of thing that very seldom has it been changed. There are several places in the United States where they have more of a metropolitan government. Jacksonville, Florida, Indianapolis would be some examples. But for the most part, it's just like around the country, it's just like it is here. You have a lot of units of government. People believe in local control, and all we try to do is help them do a better job of their local responsibilities. Generally, when we do a plan, the plan is adopted by most of the people in the region. I think everybody realizes there are certain things that cross lines of either counties or cities or towns where cooperation needs to be done.
In order to find out what needs to be done, the commission looks at how many people live and work in the region, how the levels of population and employment are changing, at the residents' demands for housing, land use, and outdoor recreation, at air and water pollution, in hopes of protecting the environment and our natural resources. The commission then works to promote an orderly pattern of development. SewerPAC activities are coordinated by 4 standing committees. They get help from 31 other technical, citizen, and intergovernmental coordinating and advisory committees. In all, over 600 people, both elected and appointed public officials and citizens who are familiar with the Commission's areas of interest.
Well, I think as long as you have people and you have movement and you have growth, you can either let it happen helter-skelter, or you can make some effort to look into the future like we do. We look 20 years ahead and try to develop a master plan, and we hope that that plan is followed.
The Commission consists of 21 members, 3 from each of the 7-member counties. One of the 3 is usually a county board member. The other 2 are appointed by the governor, one from a list prepared by the county.
Well, the charge basically is to coordinate transportation and land use, open space, land use, parks, natural resources, and primarily transportation, where crossing county lines becomes a factor.
In the area of transportation, travel habits and patterns are studied to determine what might be needed to accommodate future travel demands. The number of automobiles, trucks, and vans used by residents of the 7-county region for personal transportation in 1998 totaled over 1.2 million. That's an increase of more than 3% over the 1997 level. Publicly owned mass transit ridership in the region increased about 4% from 1997 to 51.8 million passengers. Most of the increase is attributed to the Milwaukee County transit system, with ridership of 47.2 million passengers in 1998. Total aircraft operations at General Mitchell International Airport, largest and busiest airport in the region, totaled about 219,000 in 1998, an increase of about 3% over 1997. About 5.5 million passengers used the airport, down about 1% from 1997.
Well, I think everything is important and everything kind of ties together. I think underlying all of this you have transportation. You have to think of transportation because that's the bloodline, the lifeline of the state. And through this region, I mean, if you think about it, probably 75 or 80% of the commerce in the state has to travel through here. So our roads are extremely important, our freeways, our interchanges. I think that the freeway system is probably the number one issue that we see. Probably number 2 is flooding. There are several areas in the city where that continues to be a big problem, and we try to work with MMSD and other units of government about that. But we don't have a lot of muscle. We suggest, recommend, and in a nice way try to get cooperation. We usually get it.
Sewer PAC officials say that comprehensive planning can benefit any governmental unit and its residents. And they say the Commission will continue to promote sound, ongoing planning.
Well, I think that the Commission will continue to do the good job it's been doing. I don't see any dramatic change. I think the growth, of course, is in the outlying areas, and so we're probably expanding outward. There isn't an awful lot of change in Milwaukee County anymore, although the freeway system in Milwaukee is going to be a major undertaking for the next 20 years, 15 to 20 years, and we'll certainly play a role in that.